My experience has been pretty good. So I have always had more male friends than female friends, and I think part of that was because when I was younger, I would feel nervous around women, but that was just because I had a crush on them, and so like it was uncomfortable for me to form a friendship with them because I liked them. So it was easier for me to gravitate towards being friends with men because we shared similar interests. Like I was the kid who wanted anything with wheels. If it had wheels, like I was going to do it, and so having friends that were men, they wanted to do those same things with me, and so that was a natural fit for me. But at the same time, I felt excluded from some conversations because when they talked about women, like I couldn't say anything because I didn't feel comfortable being gay. But as I got older and as I came out, now those relationships are even more enjoyable for me because we can talk about things like relationships, and I can give my guy friends advice and they can give me advice, and it's kind of like this nice back and forth. But for my relationship with gay men, it's different. I mean, we can talk about our struggles in the community and how we're having a hard time and kind of like be that support for each other, but there's other things that don't like quite cross the boundary for us, but it's still a very beneficial relationship because I think also part of getting gay women to where we want to be and be as equals, I think gay men are going to need to advocate for us as well. It doesn't have to be anything huge. I think getting gay men to advocate for women in small ways, like if they hear somebody putting us down verbally, just say like, hey, that's not cool. Like, I have friends and like, I want you to know that they're just as cool as we are. And just helping people see that we are all equals. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels kind of weird, to be honest, to ask somebody to advocate for you when they're also marginalized. Like, gay men, they do struggle. They're not on par with how straight men are viewed in society, and so they have their own challenges. And it can feel strange to ask somebody who's struggling with their own things to also help you with the problems that you're facing in society, especially when it can feel like a competition for resources. So like if I feel upset that there's not a space for gay women in community, I could easily see how gay men could draw the connection, well, like, do I have to give up my space in community for you to have a space? I do kind of feel that might be what is perceived, just because that's kind of what I've noticed in the world at large is if I want something, the other person doesn't want to give it to me because they will have to give it up themselves. And so it's kind of like a tit for tat. If you get one, I lose one, so why would I want to help you? But I think there's been a lot of change and a lot of with the advent of media and like just the access to technology and the ability to find information. I think there has been a lot of change significantly in helping people see that we're all equal. I'm a big proponent of advocating in small ways because I think doing something extremely large is great and it's very visible, but it's over after one day. And I think getting people to advocate small ways, daily basis, it becomes a habit, and then it just becomes something that they do as part of their normal day. And if enough people can do that, it's more than the sum of its parts, and I think that's how we'll really advance.
What?
Yeah, I think it's really just about calling people out. So like if your coworker is saying something that's not cool, call them out. If your bus driver is saying something that's not cool, like I know how weird that is, but you gotta tell them. And I think some people need more times to be told like, hey, that's not cool, but after a certain number of times, I think eventually we'll get to a point where it's understood like we're all normal. Like we don't need to remind people to say like, hey, can you treat them like a human being? I haven't had too much experience with like asking people to specifically advocate for the gay community because it feels strange and it feels tough to navigate that space too because so one, you're trying to figure out, is this person comfortable with the gay community? Do they even want to advocate for me? And two, they're putting themselves out there too because society's still not fully accepting of gay people. So if they're going to advocate for gay people, like maybe they're going to get backlash for that as well. And I have like heard people say that that's what holds them back sometimes, is that they don't want to be viewed in a negative light. And so it's really getting rid of this, like, it's all about me and how I want to be perceived, and working together to help everybody be treated as a human. I think one of the most powerful things that we have right now is social media, and I think people feeling comfortable to be their real selves and to put that online. And I know that's a scary ask, because your family can see that, your friends can see that, your work can see that, and that's putting your personal business out into the world. But I think visibility is one of the strongest ways that we can help support this community. And we saw that in the past election, which I hate to use it as an example, but like sharing things makes them well known. And so having just a continual presence of that visually, I think, will help people to normalize it. Because right now it's not in your face every day unless you're seeking it out. So normalizing it visually. And then I think the next step is just gonna be about how we operate as human beings. So being sensitive and being polite to how people want to be treated, and asking them, like, what is your name, and do you want to be called that, and what pronoun do you want to be called by, and all of that stuff, and having that not be weird and uncomfortable. And also getting to the point where if you make a mistake, to be sincere about it and say, like, I'm sorry that I used your wrong name or your wrong pronoun, I didn't mean that, and to have that be accepted and not backlashed against and thought of as like, this person's doing it to be malicious. So I think those are the two main areas that we need to start at. And then the third, I think, is really the workplace. Like, in the United States, you go to school and then you go to work until you can't work. So we spend so much of our lives in the workplace that there needs to be astronomical changes in how people are viewed in the interviewing process and the professional development process, and how you're matched with a mentor. All of that needs to be stripped back and to not focus on like your gender or your pronouns or your background or what color your skin is, and just to think about, like, this is the skill set that this person has, and this is a really great opportunity for them, and this is someone who can help them grow, so like, let's pair them together, as opposed to filtering them down to, like, this person doesn't look like my team, I don't think they would mesh with my existing culture. Let's stop thinking about it as culture fit and start thinking about it as culture add, and make our workplace reflective of what our actual world